Today, we're skipping the broad, generic life advice. We aren't talking about your career at large or vague relationship goals. Instead, we're diving straight into one very specific, very narrow, and incredibly agonizing modern problem. We're going to put a massive magnifying glass over a single trap, saying yes to something you absolutely should have rejected. You know the exact feeling, right? At some point recently, you agreed to join that extra planning committee. Maybe you took on a freelance side gig, or you promised to do a massive favor for an acquaintance. And right now, your calendar is an absolute nightmare. The math simply doesn't add up, and the sheer stress of it all is literally keeping you awake at night. And of course, this brings us to the inevitable symptoms. You're utterly exhausted. But honestly, way worse than the exhaustion is the bitterness. You deeply resent the people who asked you to do this in the first place. You're stuck in this endless mental loop, wondering who is actually to blame here. Are they just totally selfish for asking, or are you the one at fault for agreeing? Well, today, we are going to solve this one concrete problem. Section 1, diagnosing the resentment. So let's take this very specific, everyday predicament and drop psychiatrist Viktor Frankl's profound psychological framework right on top of it. We'll go step by step to see exactly how it reacts. Now, Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps and wrote Man's Search for Meaning. He observed that we humans aren't primarily driven by a quest for pleasure or power, but rather by a will to meaning. We aren't summarizing his whole book today, though. We are taking this monumental concept and applying it directly to your very real, very frustrating inbox anxiety. Frankl's text differentiates between standard psychological stress and something he called noogenic neurosis. Standard stress? That's just a math problem. You have 10 hours of work and only 8 hours in the day. That causes tension, sure. But noogenic neurosis, that is an existential frustration. It happens when that extra work lacks any actual meaning to you. It isn't just that you're busy, it's that you are burning your limited time on this earth for a reason that feels completely hollow. And Frankl points out something incredibly validating here. Your intense anger and resentment at this extra project, it doesn't mean you have a disorder or that you can't handle your life. It's actually a healthy, normal signal. Your inner drive for meaning is being completely blocked by this useless task, and your brain is just sounding the alarm. Your resentment is literally a symptom of an existential vacuum. Section 2, testing the 3 antidotes. If the core problem here isn't just a lack of time, but a lack of meaning, let's ruthlessly test this unwanted project. Frankl states we can discover meaning in life in 3 distinct ways. So this framework gives us 3 steps to test your current predicament. Does this gig achieve a vital work or deed? Does it allow you to encounter someone you love? Or if the situation truly cannot be changed, can you change your attitude toward the burden? Let's run your annoying project through this gauntlet right now. Looking at step 1, Frankl talks about doing a deed where you cannot be replaced, a unique assignment that demands fulfillment. So ask yourself, does this committee work or this extra favor actually fulfill a concrete, significant goal that you personally value? If you're just moving papers around for optics or doing something literally anyone else could do just as well, it categorically fails the first test. Okay, moving to step 2, finding meaning by experiencing another human being in their very uniqueness. Ask yourself this: did you say yes to this project out of genuine love, to elevate and help someone you deeply care about? Be brutally honest with yourself here. If you just said yes out of guilt or social pressure or because you were afraid of looking bad, rather than a genuine desire to serve someone, then it fails the second test too. There is 0 meaning to be found here. That leaves us with step 3. Frankl writes that we can find meaning by choosing our attitude towards suffering, basically turning a personal predicament into a human achievement. So you might be thinking, I just need to endure this project bravely. That will give it meaning. But there is a massive, radical catch here that we absolutely have to talk about. Here is where Frankl is explicitly clear. Meaning is found in unavoidable suffering. We're talking about things you cannot change. But if the suffering is avoidable, the meaningful thing to do is to remove its cause. Choosing to quietly suffer through a completely optional, meaningless side project isn't heroic at all. As Frankl bluntly puts it, it's masochistic. Section 3, forcing a decision. So the framework has basically backed us into a corner now, completely stripping away that comfortable illusion of your passive resentment. You can no longer just complain that you're a victim of a busy schedule. Frankl completely flips the script on us. He argues you can't just wait for the situation to magically fix itself or hope the other person realizes they overburdened you. Life is questioning you. Each situation calls for a response, and you can only answer to life by taking responsibility for your own choices. Here is the absolute binary choice Frankl's framework demands of you right this second. On one hand, if you realize during our little test that this project actually does serve someone you love or achieves a vital deed, then you must change your attitude. Accept the burden and stop complaining. But on the other hand, if it failed those tests and this suffering is completely unnecessary, you must change the situation. You have to quit the project. There's no secret third option where you get to just do the work poorly while sighing loudly at your desk. You cannot control the fact that your colleague or your boss asked you to do this project, but as Frankl learned, in the most extreme circumstances imaginable, you always retain the ultimate freedom to choose your response. You are self-determining. Section 4. The limits of logotherapy. Let's be radically honest here for a second before we wrap up. As incredibly clarifying as Frankl's philosophy, his logotherapy is, it hits a hard wall when applied to this mundane work crisis. I promised you we'd look at exactly where this framework stops working. It gives you the ultimate why, it reveals your resentment is actually a crisis of meaning, and it forces a decision. But it absolutely will not give you the how. It's not going to open up your laptop and draft that awkward, painful resignation email for you. It won't magically create a 25th hour in the day, and it certainly won't protect you from a colleague's temporary anger when you back out. The framework doesn't offer a tidy, painless ending. It just demands that you take responsibility. So, we've taken your very specific problem and run it through the laboratory of one of the greatest psychological works of the 20th century. The existential vacuum has been identified. The options are laid out on the table. The final question life is asking you right now is this: will you step out of your comfortable resentment, face the awkward reality of your overcommitment, and take responsibility for your decision today?